Always remember, climbing is inherently dangerous. You can always be injured or potentially die.
So, you've just sent the pink in the corner of the gym, and you think you're ready to send some outdoor boulders. Well, I'm going to give you the Gumby's guide of how to do that.
Alright, so before we get outside to go climbing, first thing we're going to need is some minimum required gear. That's going to be the very bare basic amount of stuff that you'll need to go enjoy bouldering outside for the first time. The very first thing that we've got to be concerned about is our crash pad. Since we have our crash pad, that's number one for safety. The next thing we're going to need is our climbing shoes. Ooh, climbing shoes. Third thing we're going to need is some chalk, probably in the form of inside of a bag. Bag full of chalk. And the very last things we're going to need is water and probably some snacks. So that way we stay nice and nourished throughout our climbing adventures outside. As the great Tom Green would say, "Daddy, would you like some sausage?" And then of course water. Always drink water. So you have the climbing gear. How are you going to figure out where to climb at? Well, where do you live? Because depending on where you live at, it could be as easy as walking a block down the street to go find a place to climb, or you might have to end up driving 10 hours to get to where you need to go. Here's a couple of examples of stuff that you can use to find where to climb at. Mountain Project is a pretty easy to use resource that can be utilized to find and share information on climbing areas worldwide. Think of it as an interactive guidebook that's constantly updated by the climbing community. You'll very easily be able to find climbing areas near you from either the Mountain Project site or app. I do have to emphasize a potential con to using Mountain Project, that being it is updated by the community. Not everything is 100% up to date or accurate at all times. Another option is Kaya. Using either the app or website, you'll be able to find areas to climb with the bonus of being able to share beta videos with ease. There are additional features that are paywalled, so just a heads up on that. Another benefit of Kaya is being able to track personal progress on climbs, which can be really fun if you like that good old grade chase. Now let's discuss placing pads, falling, spotting falls, and down climbs. And always remember, when you're outside bouldering or bouldering in general, every single fall is a ground fall. Or you fall into a tree or you fall into a bush. All are potentially possible. When placing pads, make sure all debris is removed from the fall zone. You want to be able to set your pad down as flat as possible. You want to make sure that the pad is actually placed up in a way that it will be able to protect the climber. So some small readjustments may be necessary. Just go ahead and poke your pad around just a little. There will be times that you go to place your pad and you will not have an easy time of it because the fall zone is not flat. When you have issues like that, there may be instances where you have to stack pads or slide pads underneath one another to make that fall zone just a little bit flatter and a little bit safer. This one's good to go. When falling, your best bet is to attempt to spot your fall and going for a controlled fall. Land in a dynamic position with knees and elbows bent, trying to keep your feet flat to avoid an ankle injury. If climbing with others, spotting is an important safety skill that will help everyone. When spotting, your job is not to catch your climber, but to keep them over the crash pads. An emphasis on their heads and necks should be considered when spotting, keeping your own knees bent, and keeping your hands in a spoon-like orientation. If you are spotting, your priority is your climber. While spotting, be sure that if the climber moves from over the crash pad, that you move the pad as needed underneath them. If you notice gaps between pads, be sure to adjust as needed so there are no gaps. Alright, so you've managed to send your first V1. How in the world do you get down? Climbing up is half the adventure. Now it's time to down climb. Down climbs, like the climbs themselves, come in all shapes and sizes, ranging from a simple walk-off, a jaunt across the tops of the boulders, or just sliding down onto your pads. It's smart to scope out what your down climb is, but if you're anything like me, you'll find out the hard way more often than not after you've sent the climb that you've been working on.
Now let's get into some climbing outside etiquette. There's a bunch of little nitty-gritty things that you do need to be mindful of when you're outdoor bouldering. Realistically, the etiquette for outdoor bouldering is more or less in line with the etiquette for gym climbing. So essentially, just be mindful of other people, try not to get crossed up on problems so that you fall into each other, don't walk through people's fall zones. But there's a couple of extra little things that you do have to be considerate of. Playing music out of the crag. Some people like to do that. Some people are really big against it. My suggestion is if you have to play music at all, try to keep it low if there's other people around you. Kind of annoys a lot of people. You really don't want to bring dogs out to the crag if you can help it, unless your dog is very well behaved. Some crags don't allow dogs at all. Some crags do. I've seen issues where people brought a dog out to the crag and that dog was not people friendly. It does not go very well. And one big old thing that drives me absolutely insane is if you pack it in, pack it out. Don't leave your trash everywhere. You want to leave the crag
Better than when you entered it originally.
and good luck doing that while you're out there. Also, don't use colored chalk. If it's not white chalk, it's not going out in the crag. It's not good for the rock to be pink or purple. All right, kiddos, let's talk about grading and the differences between indoor and outdoor grading. Whenever you go outside, please do not take that I can send V5 in the gym mindset outdoors, because it will crush your spirit and your soul deep to the core. Good example is this block right here. This is a great little block called the cornerstone. Left arete, V0. Straight up the center, V1. Right arete, V0. Guess what, kids? V0, that's for sure. Left arete, V0. Center, V1, pretty chill. Right arete, whoever put V0 in the guidebook is a terrible human being who likes hate more than anything in the world. When you come outside, just because you see a grade in the guidebook doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be as easy as that grade in your gym. Another good example is there's a climb right down from me. It's a V1 called Storming the Castle. I cannot tell you how many people have broken femurs on that climb. It's just slab. It's a V1 slab. Not that bad. So, when you're coming outside, just remember, gym grades, they're a joke. Don't believe them. It's all a lie. It's conspiracy, actually. All right. Well, hopefully, in theory, I gave you just enough information to be able to go outdoor bouldering from the gym for your first time without letting you die. Now, all of the information I've given you isn't like the full 100% rundown. There's still plenty of other little things, a whole list of things that could make your life a little bit easier.
but they're not absolutely necessary for going outside climbing for the first time. Otherwise, I don't know. I got nothing else for you guys. So, have an awesome first session outdoors. I'm gonna go climb right now. Do a good old night session. That will be information I save for the next video. Yeah.